None of us knew that the trip we began as a simple nighttime adventure would turn into that experience we could never forget. And perhaps it was the experience that made us understand the meaning of true fear for the first time in our lives. We were four. Ethan, the bravest among us, though he never admitted he feared the dark. Kevin, tall, kind-hearted, but excessively nervous. Mark, always rational, never believing in myths, never allowing his nerves to collapse. And me, Daniel, the hesitant one who agreed to go only because I didn't want to look like a coward among them. The plan was simple: a short trip to a mountainous area in Colorado, USA, with a small forest. We set up a tent, light a fire, chat a little, then return at dawn. We weren't going to hunt anything, nor explore anything. But things began to complicate the moment we arrived. We arrived just before sunset. The trees were crowded in an uncomfortable way, their trunks thick and twisted in strange directions, as if they grew inward toward a point we couldn't see. And the dirt road leading to the area looked very abandoned, to the point that old tire marks on it were almost erased. Kevin said with an awkward laugh, "This place doesn't look like the photos online." Mark replied, "The weather is nice, we'll stay a bit and leave." But Ethan was staring deeper inside and said, "Do you hear that?" We all stopped. There was nothing. No insects, no birds, no movement. Complete silence. I said, "Maybe we went too far inside. Let's light the fire." We began pursuing the place. We set up the lamps, gathered wood, and lit the fire. Everything seemed normal for half an hour, until I noticed something small. The trees around us were curved strangely, as if forming an invisible circle around the area. I said, "Do you notice the direction of the branches? They're all bent inward." Ethan laughed. "Man, they're just trees." But Mark approached them and said, "No, Daniel is right. It looks like someone trimmed them, or directed their growth." Before we could continue talking, we heard one single footstep. Not running, a heavy step, falling on dry leaves. Silence fell on all four of us. Kevin said, "Maybe an animal?" I told him, "Animals don't take one step only." Then came a second step, closer, and behind it, a very heavy breathing, as if a massive chest was trying to pull in all the air of the forest. Ethan stood quickly and grabbed a stick. I asked him, "What are you doing?" He said, "Whatever is out there, I won't face it sitting down." The sound began approaching, step after step. But strangely, we still couldn't see anything. No shadow, no eyes, no shape between the trees. As if something huge was moving, but leaving no trace. Kevin whispered, "Should we leave? Now?" Mark replied, "We don't move until we know what this is. Could be a ranger or a patrol soldier." But the sound wasn't human. It sounded like something crawling in an unnatural way. Not belly crawling, not walking, but a distorted mix of both, as if the limbs themselves didn't know how to move. The sounds stopped suddenly. I said, "Where did it go?" The voice answered us from the right, but from a distance. "Don't move." My blood froze. We looked at each other. The voice was human, but its tone was unnatural, broken, whispering, as if the speaker was learning to speak for the first time. Mark said while looking around. "Who's there?" No answer. 5 seconds passed. Then we heard the dragging of something heavy across the ground. But this time, right behind us. And nothing was there. Kevin raised his hands and said, "Guys, this isn't normal. Let's go back to the car. Now." We put out the fire quickly. We packed our things in a hurry to the point Kevin forgot his small bag. We walked toward the road we came from, but the road was no longer a road. The trees had become extremely close, as if someone closed the path behind us. Mark said, "How? It didn't look like this an hour ago." Our anxiety rose. We moved in another direction and found a narrow path. We took it. And as we walked, we heard the voice again, but this time from somewhere higher, as if something was standing atop a tree watching us. "Where are you going?" One sentence, but it made us understand something. This thing could change its position without sound, approach when it wanted, disappear whenever it wished. Kevin said, almost crying, "Please, let's run." We ran along the narrow path. We didn't stop, didn't look back, though we heard sounds following us. But they didn't chase us. They only tracked us. After 15 minutes of running, the path opened suddenly. We reached a rocky, elevated area with fewer trees and colder air. We all said at once, "We stop here." We sat, catching our breath. The place felt relatively safe. No sounds, no crawling, nothing. Mark said, "It was probably someone messing with us. Maybe a lunatic living in the woods." I told him, "A person doesn't stand atop a tree that quickly, nor move without a sound." Ethan spoke while staring at the darkness behind us. "Doesn't matter now. What matters is that we're away from it." Then we heard another sound. This time, not frightening, but the sound of running water. Kevin jumped and suggested, "We stay near the water until dawn. Nothing can hide there." It was a good idea. We moved toward the sound and found a small creek flowing quietly. We sat by it, and finally, tension began fading. At dawn, light slowly crept between the trees. We all breathed in relief. Nothing appeared. Nothing followed us. No sound ever came again. Mark said as he stood, "Let's leave, before we change our minds." We walked east, and in less than 20 minutes, we found the road we'd lost. The place looked completely normal, as though the forest wasn't the same one that almost swallowed us at night. We reached the car, and we all laughed nervously when we saw it. No scratches, no signs, nothing around it. We got in and left. We didn't talk for several minutes on the road. Then Kevin said, "Guys, it didn't chase us, didn't hurt us. Maybe everything happened because of the dark and stress." I told him, "Maybe, and maybe something was there. But what matters is that we are safe now." Ethan smiled and said, "Agreed, and I'm never going to a forest at night again." As for Mark, he said, "Whatever it was we heard, doesn't matter what it was. What matters is that it's still in that forest, and we're not." We reached town with sunrise. Each one of us went to his home, and we slept the safest, longest sleep we'd had in days. We never returned to that area, and we don't plan to. But we learned one thing. Some places tell you in one way or another that the night is not yours, and that you are an unwelcome guest when darkness falls. And more importantly, true fear doesn't always come to devour you. Sometimes, it only needs to watch you from afar. If you dare to stay in the realm of horror, subscribe and share this video. The dark stories are far from over.